Hello, everybody, and a very good evening or good morning for me as we welcome you to this trainers, the Legends Roundtable. Alongside, we have the former unified welterweight champion of the world, the last man to do it back in 2005, also world champion at 140 pounds, a two-division world champion. This man was an electrifying fighter, brought forth many incredible fight nights to fight fans around the world, and no doubt brought forth the show in Showtime. I'm talking about Zab Super Judah. Zab, how are you, my man?
I'm doing excellent.
Well, Zab, we are here to talk about the Saturday, April 16th showdown between the man that I'm getting ready to mention. He is the WBC and IBF welterweight champion of the world, a 2012 United States Olympian who has grown and evolved and has become a superstar in the sport of boxing. He is just the first fighter to be main eventing at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. I'm talking about Texas's very own Errol, the Truth Spence Jr. Errol, how are you?
Doing good, man. Can't complain.
Well, what we are here for is we're going to talk with Zab and Errol and sort of go back and forth between the two. Zab is in Los Angeles. Errol is in Texas. I am overseas in Tokyo. And Zab, what I want to find out from you is as we get ready for Saturday, April 16th, between Errol Spence Jr. and your Dennis Ugas, 3 world titles on the line on Showtime pay-per-view. Going to be a tremendous night of boxing, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time in the United States. But can you tell us about how much you're looking forward to this showdown? And we lost Zab real quick. Hopefully we can get him back. But Errol, being able to have someone like Zab Judah, who, you know, when we were off the air, he said he's a big fan of yours. He loves watching you fight. He's going to be at AT&T Stadium. What does that mean to you? Because I know that you grew up and you were watching Zab Judah perform at the highest level.
Well, that means a lot. Like, I mean, he's one of the few southpaws that I watch growing up. You know, he was super big time, especially, you know, when I was coming up. So, you know, watching Zab, I always watched him, and that's big respect, and it's a lot of honor having somebody like Zab Judah saying that they're a big fan of me and they like watching me fight and things like that. So, you know, that I feel like that's pretty dope to have guys that you looked up to and things like that. Now they watch you, and you watched them as a kid, but now they watching you, and you know, they say you're a good fighter and things like that. I mean, that's what you do it for.
Zeb, I asked Errol when you dropped off about what it means to him to be able to say, because you told me off air that you're a fan of Errol Spence, and the fact that he watched you perform as he was sort of growing up as a kid and as a teenager and, you know, in the amateurs and stuff. But now that you're watching Errol, how much respect and admiration do you have watching Errol Spence fight?
I have a lot of respect for him. Number one, just for being a human being, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's a solid fighter. I've been watching Errol since the amateurs, you know, having, you know, Devin Haney, being around Devin, I was tapped into the amateurs and seeing who was the guy that was coming up next. And Errol was always the guy that stood out to me. He always was stopping guys and winning championships big. So when he turned to the pros and started making a big name for himself, I started following him and watching him. And listen, he stood up to something big. He's getting ready to be the next undisputed welterweight champion of the world. And man, I feel great passing it to my homie. No joke. That's real talk.
Can you guys tell us about the fact that this is, because for those that don't know, the last unified welterweight champion of the world was in 2005. That was you, Zab. And Errol, you can claim 3 world titles on Saturday, April 16th, coming up in just over a week's time. I'll start off with you, Errol. Is this sort of like, okay, you are getting the torch from Zab Judah? Do you feel that way a little bit? Does that cross your mind?
Definitely. Like I said, I remember, you know, when I was younger and I was watching Zab and, you know, winning all the belts and beating all the champions and stuff like that. And that's something that, you know, I want to do. I never dreamed, you know, in a million years that, you know, I'll be doing that. But, you know, it's a dream come true. And, you know, you got to stay focused, stay dedicated. And, you know, every fight, you know, is the most important fight. You know, like I said, this is the 3rd time where I'm taking somebody's belt, and then the 4th time I'll take somebody's belt too. Be the welterweight champion of the world. Like the welterweight, weight class is always a crowded weight class with a lot of great fighters and great champions and things like that. So doing it this weight class, I feel like, that's the biggest accomplishment at this weight class because it's so many great talented fighters in this weight class.
Zab, what advice could you give to Errol Spence Jr.? Because you went ahead and you were the unified welterweight champion of the world, but when you were preparing for that moment for you to capture all the belts, what advice would you want to bestow upon Errol as we are just over a week away?
Like I said, Errol Spence is a solid champion, solid fighter. I feel like I don't need to give Errol Spence no advice to what he got to do Saturday night. He knows exactly what to do. You know what I'm saying? Work behind his good jab, let his combinations go. And I mean, listen, he's gonna do his thing. I mean, that's why I'm pleased to say that the passing of the torch is greatly. This is dope. Errol Spence is a guy for the job. Plus, for me, when I was a kid, I idolized Pernell Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker was an undisputed champion of the world. Mike Tyson was another one, undisputed champion of the world. So I got to live out and be around, my idols and watch those guys, champions of the world and be around them. So for me now to pass the torch to Earl is greatly appreciated.
So, Zab, what have you been up to? I see behind you, you have Celebrity Championship Boxing. You are now jumping into the promoter realm, and you have a big event coming up in June. What has Zab Judah been up to? I mean, you opened up your own gym in Woodland Hills, California, but you've been a very busy man, Zab.
Yeah, lately, man, I just been busy, man. Like they say, just because you retire, that doesn't mean you die out. You know what I'm saying? So I started my own fight league, Celebrity Championship Boxing. We have a big fight coming up June 23rd. It's going to be here out of California. We got Slim Jimmy from Ray Schmurda versus a reality star, Wuda. It's going to be crazy. You catch it live on Fight TV. And, if you're in the California area, 4901 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, Woodland Hills, that's my address to my boxing gym. Come get a workout. Come see the experience. It's amazing.
And Errol, I know that you're a promoter as well because Saturday, April 16th is promoted by TGB Promotions along with Man Down Promotions. You're a fighter, obviously, but, what are the challenges of, being, how active are you when it comes to the promotional aspect? Or, do you sort of just sign off on everything, make sure it's good, and then focus in on the task at hand being your Dennis Ugas on Saturday, April 16th?
Definitely. But, as you know, I got a fighter, Frank Martin, 135 pounds, and he's been really explosive. He had a couple of great knockouts on TV. So, for me, it's just stay focused on this fight, do my thing. Then once he fights, just make sure you get the right step of fights and the fights that basically get him in position, for a world title. But as far as myself, I'm focused 100% on Ugas. That's the task at hand. That's the third belt. Once I accomplish that, it's on to the next belt. So, it's 100% on Ugas right now.
And Errol, for you, this is your fifth time in recent memory fighting in your home area. You fought in Dallas at the Bomb Factory. You went from the Bomb Factory to then the Cowboys practice facility in Frisco, Texas. Your third time here at AT&T Stadium. But has every time out gotten easier for you to be main eventing in your home area?
Yeah, it definitely gotten easier because you get a lot of pressure from fans, media, your friends and things like that. But you got to block all of that and focus on the task at hand, and that's your opponent. So it definitely get a lot easier, but it's still special at the same time, fighting at home, fighting in front of, your family, friends, and your day one fans too at that. So, it's always special their ring walk, walking out and just seeing all the familiar faces and family and friends who can't go way out to when you're fighting in New York and fighting out far, but at home they can come out and watch you fight.
Zab, for you, what did it mean for you to be fighting at home and the pressures and, in terms of, focusing in on your fight, but also making sure that those closest to you are taken care of and everything else? When do you cut them off and try to say, okay, now I really need to just focus on the task at hand?
I mean, for me, I was hands on with that. You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have did. You know what I'm saying? So I ran around, handled tickets, friends, school friends, everybody. I made sure everybody was there. I mean, I remember being at a fight in the garden, at the fight, running around, worried about somebody getting tickets and getting in a fight and all that, rather than worrying about my fight. Even though I won, but I still, I got kind of sidetracked. So, yeah, I did it. I did it though.
Now, Zab, Errol Spence is taking on your Dennis Ugas, who's just coming off of a win over Manny Pacquiao. He took the fight against Pacquiao because, Errol, you had an eye injury, but it's no secret that your Dennis Ugas is a very tricky fighter. A lot of elite Cuban fighters are very tricky. So the question I have for you, Zab, is who is the trickiest fighter you've ever fought?
The trickiest fighter I've ever fought, I fought a guy by the Omar Weiss. He was an Argentina fighter. He did a lot of tricky stuff to me. Yeah, he was a different kind of fighter.
Now, for you, Errol, is your Dennis Ugas, I know you haven't been in the ring with him, but would you say in your preparation that this is the trickiest fighter you've, stepped inside the ring with, or that you have on your assignment? Or is there someone else that was a little bit trickier than that of Ugas?
I don't see him tricky at all. I think y'all putting too much emphasis on that. I mean, most Cuban fighters, they move a lot. They use angles. They stay on their feet and their toes. And Ugas not even that. Like, he's a guy that try to fight. He wants to fight, and he wants to trade shots and things like that. So, I wouldn't say he's just crazy tricky. Like, Bernard Hopkins is a tricky fighter. I wouldn't put him up there with Bernard Hopkins, so, I think people just put too much emphasis on being a tricky fighter. I never seen him do anything tricky except his left overhand. That's the only thing he really does. It's not like he dropping his hands, weaving shots and stuff like that. So, I mean, y'all got to tell me what he does that's tricky.
I mean, are you asking, or do you want to just,
I'm
leave it out there?
I'm asking you what he does that's tricky.
Okay, so from my perspective, and I'm not a world champion like you, but from my perspective and watching him, he uses his distance real well. He's constantly moving his feet. He holds his ground. Sometimes he's more of an aggressive fighter compared to your typical average Cuban fighter that sort of waits. Sometimes he initiates, sometimes he sort of waits for you to come to him, and he kind of goes back and forth between the two. That's why with his footwork, I would quantify him as being tricky. So that's my assessment of your Dennis Ugas, which is why I believe he is a tricky fighter. And again, I'm not a world champion like either one of you two, but from an outsider's perspective, sort of giving that analysis.
Well, I boxed Mikey Garcia. I banged with Kell Brook. I banged with Sean Porter. I boxed with Lamont, but still stood in the paint with him, slipping punches and countering shots and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't stand right in front of the opponents either. So, I mean, like, am I tricky too?
I would absolutely say you're tricky. And the reason why I say 100%. That you're tricky is because, and Zab, you can shed light on this, because the fact that I feel, Errol, there are times in a fight where you like to beat someone at their own game, just to be able to say that you were superior than them. Against Sean Porter, you decided to bang with Sean Porter when nobody besides you and your team thought that was advantageous to you. Against Mikey Garcia, you boxed him when people were saying, oh, Mikey's such a fantastic boxer, which he is. I mean, you do these different things that you play to the strengths of your opponent to prove that you are superior. Zab, do you agree with that assessment?
Yes. I agree with that. I think when Errol wants to take over a fight, he knows how to take over a fight. I watch him, year after year. You know what I'm saying? When fight getting a little bit tough and he may get a little bit hurt, I see him step it up. He step it up from corner advice, and he makes it happen. 100%. I've seen that.
Errol, you are a major favorite coming into this fight. I can't remember the last time you were an underdog. Do you pay attention to the odds? Does that matter to you, or is it just sort of something that you don't even pay any mind to?
No, it's something I don't even paying the mind too, because I'm not betting on the books, so. So
So
I
you don't
don't
even pay
I don't
attention to bulletin board material.
yeah, I don't care if I'm, an underdog or not, or I'm a major favorite. At the end of the day, you still got to get in there and prove it. So, that doesn't play any factor in my game plan or in my mind at all.
Zab, for you, which role did you like best as in your career? Did you like being the favorite? Did you like being the underdog? Or like Errol said, it didn't matter to you?
Yeah, it didn't matter to me either. I mean, a lot of times I came in the ring as the underdog, but a lot of times it didn't matter. I mean, even when I went and I won the undisputed championship of the world, I had to go to St. Louis, to Corey Spence' hometown, and fight him. And it was a crazy time for me. I mean, I got death threats and all type of stuff, but none of that meant nothing to me. I was focused. I was locked in, and I know how Earl feels. I mean, when you locked in on something and it's your time, there's nothing that can stop you. Nothing or nobody.
So Zab, did you like fighting at home more, or did you like going on the road more? Because you brought up that point about Corey Spinks that we show on Showtime. That was an
Yeah.
incredible, masterful performance. I would probably say it's one of my top performances that I've seen in your career. Which role did you like going into? Was it your Dennis Ugas role and that he's coming to AT&T Stadium, or the Errol Spence role, fighting at home in front of your fans, having the opponent come to you?
For me, I like to go on the road because when you go on the road, it's like, you pack a lunch. You pack a lunch and you on a mission. You like, listen, I'm packing my lunch because I'm on a mission. When I get back home, I'm gonna have my mission completed. You know what I mean? So I like to go on the road and get the job done.
And Errol, I know you love fighting at home and everything else, but is it sort of comfortable for you to be able to know that, hey, you're sleeping in your own bed, or do you sleep in the fight or hotel and stuff? I remember when Caleb Plant fought Canelo, he decided to fight and sleep in the fight or hotel. Are you of that mindset, or do you like being at home in the comfort of your own home and sort of dictating where everything goes?
Nah, man. Most my, well, all my training camps be at home. I rarely, go to a fight hotel unless I'm fighting in another state, anything like that. But for the most part, I have it at home and I just sleep in the computer room or something like that. But for the most part, I like the comfort of being at home, the comfort of being around my family and things like that. So, I don't like getting on planes and, especially when you're making weight, you gotta get on the plane and then go hop out the plane and go to a boxing gym that you're not familiar with and all that type of stuff. Like, I'd rather just stay home.
Errol, you've had a lot of big wins in your career. It has been wonderful to watch you grow and evolve. I mean, we go back quite a bit. I remember watching you, wipe out Chris Algieri, knock out Leonard Bundo in front of 6 billion people on network television. Well, would you think that this win against your Dennis Ugas is going to be one of your signature wins? Or do you think beating Sean Porter, beating the guys like Danny Garcia, that you already have that and you're just adding to your legacy?
I think I'm basically adding to my legacy because I feel like every fight that led up to this is just as important as this fight because that's where it got me to. That's where it led me to. So, like people like, what's your most important fight? If I wouldn't have beat those guys from when I was 10-0, 9-0, I wouldn't have got the Kell Brook fight. If I wouldn't have beat Kell Brook, I wouldn't have got the Sean Porter fight, the Danny Garcia fight, and everything that's leading up to it. So every fight is the most important fight to me, and every fight means a lot to me because, it leads me to more and more better fights and more accomplishments.
Zab, what performance stood out from Errol Spence's career to you the most from your standpoint?
Say it one time.
What performance of all the fights you watch Errol Spence fight, which one were you like mesmerized the most by?
I like this Sean Porter fight and the Danny Garcia fight, both of them. He showed a lot of heart. He showed a lot of, he pulled through. And times when, he looked to be confused at times, and he pulled through it. You know what I'm saying? I seen, Sean Porter gave him a lot of different ugly looks, and he was like, what the? But he figured it out. He figured it out and he pulled through. You know what I'm saying? And even in the Danny Garcia fight, Danny Garcia caught him with a good hook and stuff. You know, and he was kind of memorized for a second. He went back to his jab and started boxing and started letting combinations go. And you know, that's the great thing about being a great left-hander. You know what I'm saying? You can start back with that jab, put together great combinations, and it's all back together again.
Sam, do you love the fact, because Errol Spence, Errol, you told me last week that assuming everything goes according to plan, that yes, you want to unify the division. You want to be undisputed welterweight champion of the world, that other champion being Terrence Crawford. Zap, because you did that in your career, do you like the fact that this younger generation is saying, we want to fight each other? We want our four belts on the line because you did it, your generation did it, but now we're seeing Errol Spence and his generation go after that same thing that you accomplished.
Listen, that's the only thing that's lacking in boxing right now is the competitive fights. People have fights that they want in their head to be done and be made and see done of this generation. And it's got to happen, but it's got to happen with the, fighters got to feel like they want to do it. Now the promoters are in the way now, but, stuff is starting to iron out now. The promoters are starting to grab the right fighters to make the right fights happen. And it looks like 2022 and going forward, we're going to have some good fights happening now in championship boxing.
Would you say that Errol Spence is a throwback fighter?
Yes. He has throwback. He has, I'm going to say this, he has throwback qualities. He has throwback great qualities. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He's still a young man. He's still of this era, but he has throwback qualities. Probably of everybody that's doing it today, Errol Spence is more him and Terrence Crawford. I can't leave Terrence out. Him and Terrence Crawford are probably the last two guys from that season era that still got that sauce. No joke.
Errol, where did you learn those old school qualities from? Because as long as I've known you, I feel like you've had that old school demeanor that you exhibit every single time you step inside the ring.
Man, just, being a student of the game, first of all, and that's just my style, I feel like I always had a professional style, even in the amateurs. Like, I was going to the body and in the amateurs, stopping people to the body. People like, man, he going to the body, it's only 3 rounds, and I'm just stopping people. So, I always had that, that patience and things like that, even as an amateur. That's why, I was just highly regarded, once I became professional. So, I think it's just my personality too, because I got laid back, chill personality. So I feel like that transferred over into my fighting ability.
Errol, I'm glad you brought up your body punching because that's one of the things that I enjoy watching about you the most. Zab, do you feel that, because I feel like the younger generation, not, a good amount of them, they love that highlight reel headshot knockout or on the chin, something just electrifying. But to me, I love seeing body punching. That to me is a beautiful part of, the sweet science. Do you think that body punching is a lost art form now in prize fighting?
Yeah, body shots is definitely a lost art for where we at today. Remember guys like back in the days, Mike McCallum, the body snatcher. I mean, it was nobody that would dig over, like he would step over and dig both hands. Like, you don't see guys putting together 6-punch combinations to the body in these days. Guys are just getting, a double jab to the head, put a, one power shot to the body and back up to the head again. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not staying down there and putting in work. So, you know what I'm saying? So when you see a guy like a Errol Spence coming in, and he has been doing this since the amateurs. He has been stopping guys to the body. How many body shot knockouts you got, Errol, in the amateurs?
Man, I got a whole bunch.
Gazillion.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, nobody was doing crunches in the amateurs. So, everybody was just like, because nobody was going to the body. So, man, I was just going to the body and stopping people because nobody was used to it.
Yes. He is probably one of the first amateurs that I've seen doing that. You know what I'm saying? They put me on to him and say, yo, watch him. He ain't no joke. He was boom, he stopped him. I said, oh, wow. I said, okay. Yep. Phenomenal.
Zab, I'll give you a quick story. We were at Errol's gym last Thursday, actually a week ago, or almost a week ago. And Errol, you were hitting the heavy bag. And if the heavy bag was a person, I would feel so bad for them because I felt like I was watching Clubber Lang attack the body bag, or, you know, the heavy bag, with your ripping shots. I mean, you were unloading vicious combinations to the heavy bag, like really sitting down on your body punches. Zeb, it was something to really admire. And Errol, I got to give my hats off to you because you were in a vicious form during that training session.
Man, thank you. I appreciate it, man. You know, it's about working hard every day, striving, and you just staying focused, staying on the grind. And, you know, basically, you know, I want to show everybody that, you know, I'm in the best shape of my life. They don't have to worry about anything. You know, I'm going to perform to my best of my abilities, and I'm 100%.
My final question to you before we open it up to the media, Zab, can you tell Errol what it meant to you, and if he's successful on Saturday, April 16th against your Dennis Ugas on Showtime pay-per-view, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, what he might be feeling when the ring announcer says, you know, holding now 3 world titles, and Errol has all those 3 belts draped on himself at a jam-packed AT&T Stadium. Can you tell him what he might be feeling because you went through that back in 2005?
Yeah. It's a feeling like none other. I mean, I'm pretty sure, you know, he's a multiple world champion, so he knows what it feels like to gain multiple world championships and gain success and have that. But and on the 16th, when the referee declares you and the ring announcer says, and the new undisputed, it's just something about that word, the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, it's gonna be electrifying folks that go through his body. He's gonna be like, yes, I did it. I mean, it's a prestigious title that's worth working for and worth earning. No joke. Yeah, everybody in boxing, remember this, a lot of greats in boxing, even today, they don't obtain that title. They don't obtain the undisputed championship of the world. So for the few of guys that has the prestigious to put it together, my hat goes off to you. And Errol Spence was like, you know, you can really put it together, brother. Let's go.
Errol, have you thought about what that moment might mean to you?
Nah, man, I haven't thought about it. I mean, for me, it's just been tunnel vision. Like, I just been focused on training hard, working hard, being the best of my abilities. So I haven't, I'm not, to tell the truth, I haven't thought about, you know, winning another belt. You know, it's just, for me, it's about winning the fight, you know, so I just been focused on just the accomplishment of beating the guys. And then after, you know, I dwell in it. But right now, it's 100% focused on Ugas, tunnel vision.
All right, Mitch Abramson from Showtime. I'm going to turn it over to you. We have questions from the media. We appreciate all of you joining us. We appreciate the 2-division world champion, Zab Judah, also the WBC and IBF welterweight champion of the world, Errol Spence Jr., as we continue our conversation, getting ready for April 16th, Spence and Ugas on Showtime pay-per-view. Mitch?
Thanks so much, Ray. Great conversation. Let's go to the media. If you have a question, please raise your hand. And let's begin first with James Bell from the Boxing Source. James, go ahead.
All right, got 2 quick questions, one for Zab and one for Errol. Zab, my guy, going to, you know, more into when you won that undisputed welterweight championship fight against Corey Spinks, not just immediately after the fight, but when you came home to Brooklyn as the #1 welterweight in the world.
Oh man, it was a phenomenal feeling. I mean, it was phenomenal when they strapped the belts on me, and I was in the ring, and I seen all of those colorful belts start being passed over to me. It felt like a bag of Skittles. You know, I had a bag of Skittles. I was happy. I seen all the colors just started coming. I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. But you know, but even when I got back home to New York City, New York embraced me very well. I had a parade. I had all, you know, all kind of things. The city opened up, definitely.
Gotcha. And to Errol, I talked with your Dennis Ugas in reference to his trainer, Ismail Salas, but for you and Derek James, what is it about Derek James that, you know, makes him, you know, very great to you, but not only, you know, for him to work towards being trainer of the year, but as he says, trainer of the decade?
You said, ask the question again?
I'm referring to your relationship with Derek James, Coach Derek James,
Oh,
and what makes him stand out so that not only he could be referred to as a trainer of the year, but the trainer of the decade, as he says.
I mean, just we work on a lot on, fundamentals, and work on, always being in a position to punch, never getting out of position to punch. And I feel like, they're drawn well, like even with Jamel Charlo, like if you look at it, like Jamel wasn't, considered as a power puncher, and he ain't really, it looked like he ain't had that much confidence in his power. Well, at the end with Derek and Derek teaching him, defense and holding his hands up and blocking punches and things like that, he got more confidence in his power and started sitting down more on his punches and getting more knockouts. So, I feel like, he brings out the best in you without changing you up too much. He just, nitpicks on a lot of things that he see you doing wrong and try to change it and make you a better fighter.
Great. Thanks, James. Let's now go to Kirk Jackson from the Scope Network. Go ahead, Kirk.
You mentioned that Errol Spence has throwback qualities. What do you think is his greatest attribute as a throwback fighter?
Just the way he walked guys down, the way he walked them down and put together combinations. You know what I'm saying? If you watch how Jack Johnson was back in the days, how you know what I'm saying, he put that pressure on you, and he get them when Jack started doing it, like you know what I'm saying, when Jack started rolling them hands, it's over. You got a problem. When he started rolling them hands and walking you down, yeah, you got a problem. And Earth Prince, the same thing. When he put them hands up and he started walking to you with that jab and started letting combinations go, it's the same thing.
What do you think is your greatest achievement as a fighter, or what do you think is your greatest signature win and why?
You
me?
talk to me.
Yeah, Zad, Zad, that was for you.
Oh, for me? Okay, go ahead. Now, ask it again.
Just your biggest achievement as a fighter.
Oh, my biggest achievement as a fighter, all of them. Every fight has a different meaning to it. Every fight has a different meaning to it. Win, lose, or draw. No matter what, every fight has a different preparation. It comes with different prices you got to pay. Everything. You know what I mean? So just every one of them. I mean, there's no one that just singles out to me to be different.
Okay, thanks, Kirk. Let's now go to Jim Conlon from RCB Radio Sport Ireland. Jim, go ahead.
Hi there. My question is for Errol Spence. Errol, I spoke to your dentist the other day and I asked him what fight would suit his style better, yourself or Bud Crawford? And he said your style would suit him better. How do you respond to that? And do you look forward to meeting Bud Crawford later on in the year?
Yeah, I definitely look forward to meeting Bud later in the year. I mean, it's for all the marbles, so that's I feel like that's the biggest fight in boxing with two fighters with amazing skill set and top 5 probably boxers in the world. And Uga saying that, I mean, that's his opinion. So we'll see April 16 if he's still asking us that question. April 16, do we still think the same?
Okay, thanks for that question, Jim. Let's now go to Alex Secchia from Prime Point Media. Alex, go ahead.
How you doing, guys? Thank you for your time today. My question is for Errol. Errol, so I want to get your mental aspect from this question. Mentally, how does it feel to be able to continue to do what you love, even when most people believed that your career was over?
It feels good, man. Just prove all the doubters wrong and, keep working hard and striving. It's more, motivational for me. So the more people that, doubt me publicly and, say things, I just use it as fuel. it's fuel to me. So, his motivation is fire. So, I don't care about the doubters or, people saying different things, I'm working hard, I'm proving that, I'm back in April 16th, people are going to see, not even the same version. I feel like they'll see a better version of myself.
Great. Thanks for that question. Let's now go to Ivan Montiel. Ivan, please identify the outlet that you're speaking for. Thanks.
Ivan Montiel from boxing.com. I got one question for Spence, another question for Judah. Spence, how much more motivated are you now that you heard Judah talk good about you, give you advice? How much more does that motivate you?
It motivates you a lot. Like I said, when you grew up watching a person, and they, and now it's your turn now, and they give you high praise and things like that. That's especially motivating, and it means a lot. So, it's definitely a motivating factor, and it's definitely motivating me more than I already am.
Great. Thanks for that question. Let's now go to Cameron Buford. Cameron, please identify the outlet that you're writing for.
Voice of the Fans by way of LA News Observer. Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for making time for us. Earl, I got a couple questions for you. Upon looking at the all access that you did, you got the horses now.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the horses. What's up?
Was there a question there, Cameron, or was that it?
No, I'm sorry. Here, guys. Errol, now that you got these horses, are you planning to race these horses? Do you want to breed them for show horses? What's your plan to do with these horses?
I do got one horse that it's a show horse, but the other horses, they're just for riding purposes and things like that. But I do have one that I do in competition, but the other horses just to ride around, and I got friends that ride horses. They come over and we ride the horses.
And you spoke about people using the animals to improve their mental strength, their mental capacities. Is that something that you plan on doing? Kind of open up the farm to allow families and kids to kind of enjoy the horses and kind of build their mental capacity up, if you will.
Nah, it's more for personal reasons more than anything. So, nah.
Okay, thanks for that question. Now let's go to Lori Hanshaw from Behind the Gloves. Lori, go ahead.
Hi, this is Lo with Behind the Gloves. I have two questions, one for Errol and then one for Zab. First, I'll start with you, Errol. You said earlier something about you're not really focused on winning a belt, you're focused on winning this fight, that really stuck out to me. So in this training camp, what do you feel like you and your team have worked on as far as a game plan for how this fight is going to go?
Well, me and my coach believe we work on everything. We work on, if we're fighting in close, we fighting outside. We work on, if I'm using angles, if he using angles. So we work on basically everything because you don't have timeouts in boxing or, anything like that. So once you're in there, you're in there. The only person to stop the fight is you, the other person, the ref, or your coach. So, we just make sure everything is covered and all the bases covered. And anything that he comes with, I have something to stop it.
Thank you. And Zab, I also wanted to ask you, how do you see this fight between Errol Spence and Ugas going on April 16th?
In the new, undisputed welterweight champion of the world, the truth. It's my guy. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight. On both guys' part, you know what I'm saying? But I think that old Errol Spence with that but the old school throwback styles is gonna kick in, and he's gonna get the job done.
Thank you so much.
Great. And let's end things with Ron Goodall from Fight Hype. Ron, go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I appreciate the time. I had a couple questions for each fighters. I'll start one with Zab. Just want to get your overall thoughts on Eugenio Ugas overall as a fighter. And if you could just give us a story about facing a Cuban fighter. I'm sure you faced one in the amateurs, not professional, and just overall the style that they bring to the fight.
Dennis Ugas is a very talented fighter, very hard worker. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that's been around, has worked very hard to get himself to where he's at today. I have a lot of respect for him. You know what I'm saying? No, I've never fought a Cuban fighter in a fight, but I used to spar with Joel Castlemeyer and those guys. And sparring with the Cuban fighters, I mean, you know that those guys are very crafty. You know, they do a lot of things that, you know, we normally don't do, where they grab, punches, and pull, and you know, just a little bit of different kind of tricks that they got. But you know, I'm pretty sure Errol Spence is, you know, he's seasoned. He's ready for this moment of where he's at, this position he's at. He's, you know, every kid, you know, every boxer as a kid dreams of being the undisputed champion of the world. And you know what I'm saying, on March 16th, he get to live out his dream. May 16th.
April 16th.
And then my follow-up questions up to Errol Spence. Just you know, you're a father of 3 and you're training at home. Obviously, it could be a lot of distractions. Some fighters like to remove themselves from that position. Just kind of wanted to get your thought process on why you're okay with training with an environment like that. And if you could tell us if there was a training camp similar to the one that you're having now in the past.
I mean, it's just something I used to. So, you know, I had to keep doing it. And, you know, I welcome it. Like, you know, I always say, you know, I don't want to be one of those, like my kids come to the gym, you know, watch me spar, all that, you know, I don't be one of those fighters that, you know, go away for training camp and things like that. And then, you know, once I become old and, you know, they become older, you know, somebody else telling them stories about, you know, training camp and things like that, you know, they see it firsthand. And, you know, I just like spending time with my kids and stuff like that. So, you know, I just stay disciplined and stay focused and focus on the task at hand. And, you know, I got family and stuff that help me, you know, with my kids if I need something. So, you know, it's not all just, you know, me doing it myself.
Thanks, Errol. That concludes the media portion of this virtual presser. I'm going to swing it back to Ray for some final thoughts. Ray?
All right. Thank you very much, Mitch. And we appreciate the media joining us and asking these pertinent questions as we get set for Saturday, April 16th. Errol Spence, your Dennis Ugas Showtime pay-per-view, the welterweight unification matchup. And Zab, I want to give your the table for final comments as what can fans expect on Saturday, April 16th? You'll be there at AT&T Stadium. So will I. Errol Spence, your Dennis Ugas, what are you anticipating?
I'm anticipating fireworks. I'm anticipating 2 guys coming in there fighting for the undisputed championship of the world. You know what I mean? And not looking past Ugas, you know what I'm saying? But you know, my favorite and my guy that I like to watch is Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking to see my guy become the new undisputed champion of the world.
Errol, final comments as you got the words of support from a man who was the last one to hold the unified welterweight champion of the world back in 2005. Someone you looked up to, but what does that mean to you?
It means everything, man. I appreciate that support. You know what I'm saying? A lot of older fighters, you know, don't really, you know, give their support to the young generation. So much respect. Appreciate your support, man. That means a lot. And everybody make sure they tune in April 16th. If you can't be there at the AT&T Center, make sure you order it on Showtime pay-per-view. It's going to be an amazing event, amazing fight. And it's going to be an all-out, you know, all-action-packed fight. And it's going to be one side on my end. So, yeah, I'm going to see a very, very exciting fight.
Zab, he's saying it's going to be one-sided. I like hearing that, man. Look at that.
Be fireworks. It's going to be fireworks. Something to see. People don't miss this.
Boxing royalty, Zab Judah, thank you so much. Errol Spence, thank you so much. I'll see you both next week down in Arlington, Texas.